Denise Guru. Zakalu. What's on your heart mind today?
Hey,
Sister. Sister.
I told you to open. Don't push it over on me.
Well, we usually would say something like the colloquial is, what's on your mind today? And I was thinking, well, you could say, what's on your heart today?
There you go.
Then what's on your heart mind today? There is brain tissue on the heart. Did you know that?
Brain tissue on the heart?
As the fetus develops, the first thing to appear is the heart. And there's a brain tissue, there's gray matter, whatever you call it, on the heart. So there is a heart mind. The heart thinks, if you will. So it's what do you think? What do you think today, Azu? Or what's on your mind today, Azu? What's on your heart mind today?
How much time do we have?
Well, clock's rolling.
Yeah. Well, and we also forget too about the heart, that the heart is its own entity. It's its own entity. And, so many people forget to tell their talk. It's like, you have to talk to your heart, and you have to tell your heart how grateful you are that you wake up in the morning and it's still beating. And you have to tell your heart how much you love it. And it's kind of strange when you do that, because you look at your body as, I think most of us look at our body as just what we see right here. And that's all they see, and they don't see any more. It's whatever's forefront brings their attention, and this is it.
Yeah, what we can see on the outer shell.
Yeah. And we don't even realize, this is going to be way out in left field. Okay, so if we don't recognize that our heart is its own entity, we also don't recognize the attachments that we have to our bodies. How many people are walking around with attachments? That just freaks me out.
Like, do you mean by their appearance? I'm too fat or too skinny or something? It's attachments that way?
Well, that way being caused by entity attachment.
Oh, I see.
The entity attachments that, kind of like the Christians, they say got the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other shoulder, and the devil's whispering in their ears, oh, look at you, look at your nose, how huge your nose is. Oh, you're fat, you look terrible in that outfit. Oh, look at all the gray hair you have, and your angel is like, oh, please, you are beautiful. You are a goddess, you are a god, whatever. But this one over here is from that outer entity where the angel is our higher self. But this guy over here is that nasty outer attachment. So, I think that kind of coincides with Robert Stanley. Remember, I sent you that, I think he was on the Leak Project. He's been on so many things, but, they talk about these outside attachments that so many people don't even realize are there. And, when you get these foreign things in your head and you can't listen to your heart, what your heart is saying, you have to stop and go, whoa, where's that coming from? That's you. That's not me. Or you're feeling really down because this one here really likes you to feel down about yourself, feel depressed, feel worthless, keep you sick. And when you feel that way, what do? You reach for a beer, you reach for a bag of Cheetos, a bag of Fritos. You don't read the labels. You don't care if it's GMO foods. You want instant gratification And the only thing that you're doing is digging yourself deeper, and that entity is digging himself in deeper. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Go ahead.
I didn't even know that was going to come out of my mouth today. See what happened?
Well, hey, back you gave me a few things I wanted to throw at you about that. That was pretty interesting. So you said the heart is an entity. So can you broaden that a little bit? Is that like saying it's its own persona? It's its own being?
Well, I think it's like your heart feels like you do. If you can make your heart stop functioning happy by your bad thoughts, so your heart, it's like an empathic person. It's constantly being bombarded by negativity, and it just makes them sick and makes them crazy. So if you're constantly thinking negative, your heart can feel that. Your heart knows that. And it's kind of like your body. The more negative thoughts are in your body, and the more you say, I don't care about my body, and the more you overwork your heart, and the more you don't care about it, the less it wants to live, the less it wants to. It's like, these people, their bodies are just breaking down before their old age. And it's like, it's that constant negativity and the crap that they're putting in the body. It's much more than the body just being sick from what we're putting in it. It's that feeling, because of everything has its own cellular structure. So
And
it's,
so what? Well, then that, like a cell has awareness.
yeah.
Each cell.
Because we are our own universe. Our body is our own universe, because of all the cells, because everything in the physical body, you need that harmonious connection. Everything needs to work harmoniously to keep this physical body going in harmony, and keep us healthy. And so we forget all these little intricate parts that make this up.
Yeah, so heart, talking about the heart as an entity, and we mentioned how the heart has brain tissue on it.
Yeah.
So the heart can literally think. It does think. So it is a brain in its own. So as an entity, so if it thinks, then it has the ability to hold belief as well.
Yeah.
So when you were talking about negative self-image talk, and ignoring the heart and not, seeking that alignment and harmony and togetherness with yourself, well, then that can give a negative belief in your heart. If the heart's an entity on its own, it thinks it's on its own too, it has a brain, then it holds belief as well.
Well, here's an example of the physical body and the cells of the physical body striving to wanting to live. When working with horses, when I work with my horses, they taught me about the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. And working with the cycle of death was really, really hard for me. It was a really hard lesson. And one of my horses that I had to put down, it was such a learning experience, because I realized in all the energy work and everything that I was already doing, when the vet came, I realized that his spirit was probably connected. It was just, his spirit was already on the outside, but it was just a tiny connection. And I was dealing only with his physical body, and his physical body was fighting to live. And when she gave him the shot, I watched his eyes, and I could tell the moment that the physical body lost. The physical body was done, because his eyes, it's kind of like looking at a dog with cataracts. His eyes just glazed over like he had cataracts. And I knew at that moment, that she said, okay, he's gone now. But it was strange, because I knew, as much as I knew I had to do this, he was laying down when I told him. I said, okay, Sterling, I have to do this. I have to, let you go. Some people are going to take this wrong, but as soon as he was, she already said, his eyes were sunken, and he was as down as he was. It was like my daughter was there, standing there. It was like something picked his body up, and she started screaming, because she's like, what the hell is he doing? And I looked at him and I said, Sterling, we have to do this. There's nothing, I knew that the body was fighting. And as soon as I said, your spirit is already out of your body, I know I'm dealing with your body. And he just dropped just like a ton of bricks. And so when she
trying to separate,
yes,
that separation that was so strong is actually carrying the body.
Yes.
With it, perhaps. Wow.
And I think too, I think a lot of that, some of that has to do with me. If you're really, really close to your animals, horses are your teachers, and it was almost like that split second. Do you want to try, you have the option of taking him and putting him through surgery and all of this stuff. So there was that little tiny that left, I think. And once I verbally let him go and verbally said, no, as hard as this is, I can't put you through all of that. He came to me sick anyways. He already had pre-existing issues. It was like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Heard that before, when you finally, the dying human hears it's okay to go. It's okay, then they'll finally go. They're hanging on for us, or, for the family that's there and the people that love them. They're hanging on for that, not so much for themselves, perhaps.
Right.
But that's obviously, so if the heart's an entity, and you're talking about how that is attached to the physical. That was kind of your example with your horse there, with Sterling, how that attachment is so strong, energetic attachment. So within us that's describing multidimensionality. We are multidimensional, and so it's more than what we see in the mirror, like you were talking about a minute ago.
Yeah.
And entity attachments then, with that Sterling, I don't know if there was attachments like that you're aware of and stuff, but you're talking about attachments on people. And that brings us into sovereignty too, just to touch on that real quick. Sovereignty, just like anything, gets played off into a negative connotation. You're a whack job. Are you one of those sovereign citizens? All that crazy stuff. But sovereignty goes much more than the legal system. Legal means without God's law, to supplant God's law. That's what the word legal means. So to put anything into legal system, you're playing within the legal system, you're playing their game. You have given your soul sovereignty away. Sovereignty goes to soul level. So to claim that sovereignty at the deepest level possible helps strengthen that heart entity and that multidimensionality and that harmony and those connections, I think. So let's throw that in. But so you're talking about, the negative talk and how that controls behavior and actions, where you'll grab the Fritos and a beer right? Or just get drunk to knock it all back and stuff. I see those as all connected. Is ego, say, we'll just call it ego for whatever it is, this self-talk, we all have that little chatterbox that's running us through the grinder all the time, right? And maybe even the good talk. Is that artificial intelligence program?
You come up with the deepest questions all the time.
But think about it. So that came to me from Robert Stanley. He was talking about the mind parasites.
Right.
And they were showing, oh man, I should have pulled that up for a screen share. But they were showing the videos. I don't know if you remember the little amoebas. They were showing the pictures. If you watched all that discussion, he had these little amoebas, and some were like huge on the horizon over mountains and stuff. Well, I've had that for as long as I can remember. I've had that, and I usually see it in the shower, where I'll be washing my face and I'll rub my eyes will get itchy, I'll rub my eyes, and this shows up, that same exact amoeba thing, that same exact. And so after hearing Robert talk about that, I'm like, wow, do you think that's what that it is? Because it was telling me, that's good, I should like that or whatever. And then that came, well, maybe that's some kind of program, that's some kind of mind control, that's some kind of psychic parasite that is in me. And so now that I've observed it and brought the light to it, I'm not seeing that anymore for the first time in years. So I'm thinking maybe this ego connected through the DNA, it's such a tremendously complex construct, if that's the right word, creation, that maybe that's all just mind control, ego itself.
Well, I think there's a lot of truth to that. Because there's so many of those external parasites that have names, and one of them is a jinn, and what was it? The staff, the Roman soldier that was supposedly stabbed Jesus when he was up on the cross. What was the name of that? His sword. The sword had a name, but that was after that happened. That sword was a very protected deal. It was a sacred weapon, and they say that it actually had a jinn in it, and they say that if a jinn can live in a bottle, Aladdin and the lamp, the jinn can live in anything. It can live, so if it can attach to a sword, how easy can it be to attach to people who are walking around that are so clueless? And are they clueless because of the jinn that's attached to them? Or are they clueless because of all the mind control? I think everything around us is mind control. It's our lamestream media. It's the billboards on the street. It's the TV shows that we watch. It's the packaging on the food. It's
the spell, yeah.
Yeah.
Through the words and belief.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, that causes our ego to act out either way. I mean, we could be a narcissist, or we could be a person that has no self-esteem. That little wallflower that is afraid to speak out, her throat chakra is closed. She can't speak out. Women, we've had a huge problem. It's like the women's movement, back in the 1800s, we get to vote, well, actually all that was that dark side saying, let's give the women what they think they want, and let's get them in the workforce because we need more money. And hey, it's going to work because they're not going to be raising their kids anymore. And we can really mind control their kids because the kids are going to be raised by somebody else or nobody. So like it's just everywhere. It's everywhere.
But yeah, I just have a hunch that it's somehow, the DNA is technology.
Yeah.
I've heard it, this is a skin suit. I've heard it, and human body technology. And so, dog bodies, the technology, all forms are technology, a tree, the DNA. So there's a connection there. And so I think that there's, we hear about implants, never really talked about implants, but I think it's kind of one and the same. I think that somehow, and it's through unawareness and through not having reclaimed soul sovereignty, through really finding what you are beyond this body as a spirit, finding you and reclaiming, no, I call the shots for me. I am aware. Sovereignty to stop that. So when we're so unaware, that this technology then becomes infiltrated and manipulated by artificial intelligences. Stanley talks a lot about, Enki's universe and the psychopathic state of being and stuff, that it transcends down through then the elites, the Vaticans and the banker families and all that, governments. There's something there. I have this strong hunch there's something there. That's what keeps that going, because it also harvests our energy. When we're talking so negative about ourselves, and we get that dread and that despair and all those things, we're being fed on.
Yeah.
We are actually a battery. We are the positive pole of the battery, and they're actually harvesting our energy to sustain their matrix.
Yep.
By doing that. So I think it's, it goes beyond belief, even that I think it is somehow technical. There's some kind of, it's a device that is used, perhaps. And that would explain, you got the law of attraction, The Secret, all those movies that talk about, manifesting by thought and all that stuff, and you get back what you put out and everything. But how come that doesn't really work for pretty much everybody? There's something that's not adding up there. There's something that is, and I think that's what it is. There's actual technology. You can call it implants, you can call it mind parasites, you call it whatever you want. Call it the ego. But it's a energetic device that gets us behaving and believing and feeling and then emoting correspondingly.
What was that movie? They talk about it a lot. Roddy Piper played in that movie. It was an alien movie where he finds these special sunglasses, and when he puts them on, he sees all the aliens that are actually infiltrated in our world, right down to the bankers.
Right.
And and that's what I say all the time. If we could all put these glasses on and actually see that what is around us, it's like, we're wearing blinders. We're blocked. We can't see, if people could actually see what was attached to them and it was actually feeding off of them.
Yeah.
It would be a revolution, or
revelation.
Yes, that's the word.
Right.
That's the word.
And
yes.
Revolution and a revelation. Yeah, right. The revelation. Then we revolt. Say, excuse me, who are you? Get out of here.
Yeah.
But that comes back. They say you've heard know thyself. Who said that?
Oh, know thyself. Well, they say that's my expertise. They say Socrates said that, but actually Socrates was repeating what the oracles of Delphi were actually saying.
Okay.
And that's what the oracles were trying to tell before they were overthrown by the priests, and the priests had to interject everything that they said. The oracles were actually trying to tell the pilgrims that would seek guidance was go within, know yourself. Don't look outside of yourself. The answer's within. The answer's with the planet that you live on. So I went overboard on that, but there you go.
That was great. I'm glad you jumped in. Yeah, I see that. There's layers to everything.
Yeah.
Layers of discernment to everything. So just that statement, know thyself, when I first heard that, it was like, and then the books I started reading, Bug Free Mind, Andy Shaw, and these types of things, Eckhart Tolle and stuff. And, it kind of portrays it that it's on the very first level of knowing thyself. It's on all this outer. It's know myself as, how do I react to this? Why am I reacting the way I'm reacting to that stimuli? When this person I know does this, or that person does that, and I react the way, why is that? And that's all good. That's great. I mean, that's a beginning, but knowing thyself is deeper that, to actually down to what is the core of my presentation, my energetic presentation. What is that? Can I feel that? Where is that coming from? It's like going back to the void, to the 0 point we hear people talk about, knowing thyself. So if I know myself to that level, know what I feel like, then I can have a barometer to compare to other energy. Is that me that's saying that? Is that voice in my head telling me I can't do it? Is that really me? And then I can really start defining that and deciphering that for what it is a lot more accurately, because I know myself, and it probably never ends. Know thyself, know thyself. They say that's why we're here, right? That's why we're on Earth, experiencing duality, so we can find ourselves again, so we can know more about ourselves and know more about everything, blah, blah, blah. But it's there, and I find that really beneficial.
Well, and I think that's what's happened with us is we've come complacent on knowing ourselves. We let outside sources take care of us. We've let our government take care of us. We let even our God take care of us. Give it to God. Give it to Jesus. Jesus died for our sins. And it taught us to become complacent. And we sit around and it's like, oh, somebody else will take care of us. Somebody else will do it. They complain, but they wait for somebody else to do it, and knowing thyself, it's developing who you are. It's becoming a discerning being, and it's about getting busy at protecting yourself and standing up and saying, I'm a sovereign being. And it's like me, when I hear that, ooh, that you feel that pressure in your head and you feel that lower vibrational beat, you go in and you go, is that part of me? And you go, hell no, it isn't. Get out. And a lot of times you have to tell it to get out more than once, and eventually it goes away. And as soon as it goes away, you're like, oh, so that's one thing you learned about yourself. Mm-hmm. You could tell it.
Yeah, but you can't discern that unless you really put in the effort.
Right, develop.
Feel yourself. Yeah, develop that intuition, that keen awareness of what I feel like. That otherwise you can't tell.
Yep.
And so it's a practice.
It is.
It really is a devotion to okay, go within, or just whatever, just feel, just constantly become aware. What do I feel like? Feel my hands, feel my feet, feel this energy. So there's a cool um, thing that has helped me with that, and that is an energy ball. I read a book, Onik, who claims to be from Venus, if you've ever seen her. But you rub your hands, and if you've ever done this, get some heat, and then slowly pull them apart and put them like this, and just become aware of that. And if you sit with that for a while, and it helps to not have your elbows touching anything and stuff, but you sit there and then tug back and forth, you can feel there's like an elastic, there's an energy there. And that energy, I guess, is me. I don't know exactly what that is, but it helps to in tune myself with my own energy to then offer a comparison, like you said, to the other energies that might be trying to harvest on you or manipulate you, use you for their benefit, harvest you like a crop for their energy, And that was a great word too, superficial. Right, the superficial layer, we'll say know thyself. So it's like, what type of music do I like? What type of fashion do I like? What type of food do I like? What kind of hairstyle do I like? I mean, and I guess that is a degree of knowing yourself, but that is on the real superficial level. That is on the consumerism level.
The narcissistic level.
Yeah, right. So I can identify, that advertisement I see on the television, that's me. That's knowing myself. I like that type of car, or looking that way, or, doing those things. But it's so much deeper than that, so I just thought I'd say that out.
And, and I said the word develop, and you brought that up again, develop, and it's like anything. It's like developing, not developing, but reawakening to all of your clair abilities, and even developing your reaction, and it's just knowing why you're reacting, and knowing that, okay, I reacted this way. I need to go, I take that back. Even if it's in your mind, I take that back. You will slowly develop not reacting, because you bring in at forefront. It's not buried deep inside you. You're not listening to this guy over here anymore. And it's like with my husband, he is so, it's like he's blocked. It's like he's got this cage around him. And as soon as I want to talk to him about any of this stuff, he instantly falls asleep. And it used to just make me so mad, and I want to just yell at him and argue with him. And they're feeding off of that. They're all right. Well, she's all pissed off, and boy, when she gets pissed off, the energy is like this high. Boy, yum, 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 yum. It's like that old game from the
Pac-Man.
Chom, 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 chom. And the more they eat, the madder I get. I mean, I had a temper.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Is that a program? You're talking about your husband, clicking off or whatever, doesn't want to go there. Is that a program that we're all under, and then your corresponding response? So it is value to say, wait a minute, why did I react that way? Mm-hmm. It is of value to say, what is causing me, and then observe it from a neutral perspective, without a dog in the hunt. Just, what is it? Why is that? Because one thing I've noticed, I was talking about the mind parasite I was seeing.
Yeah.
As soon as I started observing it and became aware of it, now it won't show itself. Now it's super sneaky. I see it coming around over here and hiding and presenting itself like this. And it's like, doesn't want to be seen.
Yep.
These things do not want to be seen. And so that is a huge power to observe it and just heighten your awareness about it so that you can see it coming around from a different angle then. That's because it'll keep coming back, you know.
When I was young, I used to see those shadow things all the time when I was very young. And I used to, the shadow beings, the little black, you know, they were like spiders. They'd be coming off the ceiling, or, you know, even like as far as 7 years ago, I would see them on the end of our bed is a big sofa table. And I would see them on the sofa table just looking at me, you know. And back then I would react. I would jump up and I would scream, you know, and scare the shit out of my husband because he never saw them. And, you know, I used to have all those dream paralysis things. And the last dream paralysis I had was probably 9 years ago. And we were in this hotel, and I learned to control them. I knew what they were, and, you know, so I would stop screaming in my sleep, and I would calm down. Well, the last one I had, I could feel somebody sitting next to me while I was like frozen, and they were rubbing the side of my head, and I could feel it. I couldn't see who it was. And I like, oh, all right, just calm down and just come out of it. And I couldn't come out of it, and I couldn't come out of it. And I thought I was dead. And I was like, well, shit, is this what it's like to be dead? This really sucks. I don't see anything. It's just like gray. And there's this thing rubbing the side of my head, you know? And so then I finally woke up. But as I had these, and I used to see, like, you know, in Colorado, one of the house in Elizabeth, we had a Confederate soldier that he would just come right in bed with me and laugh. He'd just lay there and laugh at me. And I got to the point where I learned to not be afraid anymore. I learned to take over my sovereignty, and I learned that I could beat the crap out of him and he would leave. And I mean, the shadow beings, if they got near the bed, I mean, I was kicking and punching, you know, and my husband would be like, Denise, you're dreaming again, you know. And the more I fought them off, the less they came. And now today they don't even come anymore. Don't even come. And if I sense them around me, it's kind of like that buzzing noise first, that, ooh, you know, I'm right away, get out of here. I already beat the crap out of you. Get out of here. And then it's gone, you know? So it's like what you said.
Yeah, I think it's a technology too, somehow.
Yeah.
And that's awareness. You know, I don't know what these entities are. Like you said, the shadow stuff. And I have seen that too.
Yeah.
I can relate. I have seen that stuff. And I think we all see it. We just deny it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we're taught to think, oh, those are just, you know, your mind playing tricks with you or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe they're playing tricks with you, but, you know, become aware of that stuff. We all sense it. But yeah, that's great.
But, you know, I think too, if we react in fear is what they want from us, because then we're sending all that energy out, and here we go, Pac-Man again.
Right.
You know.
Gobble, gobble. They're right there. It's dinner time.
Yeah.
That's the dinner bell. Boo,
yeah,
you know?
That's right. It's like those Thrasher movies that were so popular in the 80s, you know?
I didn't see those, though.
It's anything, you know, anything like Michael Myers, Halloween and Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Anything like that. It's like all those kind of movies, and it's like, why do people go watch those? And why do they make those? They make those because it's like a feeding frenzy. We're all in there and we're like, oh my God, oh, you know, and they're just in there feeding off of us. And people don't realize that. I mean, really, what purpose other than that do those kind of movies serve?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's fun to be scared when you know you're not really going to be hurt, but entities do congregate, if that's an appropriate word, on places like that because they know that energy is high then. And so you really do open yourself up. So, right, it's important to be aware what you allow in. What are you allowing in is of great importance. You know, what light are you letting in? The flicker rate light of television, that's a program too. It's called program for a reason.
Yeah.
That is a technology to control. That is a mind control technology. And people need to become aware of that. And movies are too, to a degree, depending on how they get you to respond, how they get you to remote to that input. And then we see a movie and then it'll be hours, minutes, hours, days later, we keep replaying that depending on how deeply it impacted us. And so we'll continue to emote that, just like any traumatic experience that may have really happened and stuff.
Yeah.
That was great with that tinnitus. So I'm so glad you mentioned that. I wanted to go back real quick before we jump off, but I have tinnitus like crazy. I mean, I don't know. I can't even count how many different tones I have, from super, super piercing high to low rumbling like a bulldozer outside.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really all over the place. And then all of a sudden, sometimes it'll get quiet and I'll get, coming in and everything else goes away.
Yeah.
And then that'll fade away and stuff. And so from this new information and hearing you talk about it, I'm thinking that is definitely somehow some technology. And is it beneficial? Some people have spoken that tinnitus like that is like some kind of benevolent shield. But it also could be some non-beneficial technology that, there's a rod inside siphoning, a constant siphon too. So I need to decipher that, but there's more to that as well as just having hearing damage from like hearing something, loud in your ear one day.
Yeah.
That happens too, but a lot of this tinnitus, I posted a tinnitus video. It's over on the ZTV channel on YouTube, ZTV. But got a lot of hits on that. A lot of people experience tinnitus.
Well, okay, here's the question. Was tinnitus the condition rung up by the controlling agenda to make us go in and shut it down? Well, we got this and we got this and we got this drug and we got this and we can shut it down so you don't hear it anymore. I think the more aware, and a lot of people talk about, the more aware we become, the more different tones we hear. I mean, if everything in our world is frequency, are we not, our hearing, our clairaudience is one of our superpowers. And so are we regaining that? And we have to learn how to use those different tones. Okay, I get this tone now. What's going on? What just happened? How do I feel? What might be around me? Oh, I hear this different tone. How do I feel with this different tone? Is there a pressure in my head? Or do I just feel light and happy? So I think that's more of our own inner work, our inner knowing, to discern those different tones. Yes. And not say, oh, I got tinnitus, I need to go to the doctor and shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's a great point. We're like receiving communication.
Right.
Some form of communication, perhaps, too. That's a great way to look at it. That, when we hear those things, especially, when I hear them all the time, but sometimes they will change and alter and go quiet, like I was explaining, just describing. And right, we're actually, somebody's giving us a shout out from another dimension.
Yeah.
We're sensing that frequency, because that's what that ringing would be. It's a frequency, tonal frequency.
Right.
So that's a really cool way to look at it too, right? That And that, again, is it good or is it bad? And so I've heard too, one way, for me, I've noticed too, when I hear that, or a lot of times it'll be a little lag, a couple minutes before I will feel or become aware of a possibility of what that was. And sometimes it's, what were you thinking 10 minutes before that happened? So those are some more things to maybe diary about, keep a journal about, when, okay, well, that just came, what was I thinking 10 minutes before? What was I thinking just a couple minutes before? What was I feeling? Was it happy? Was it sad? And then pay attention to what you feel like a couple minutes afterwards, during and then after too. Keep tabs on all that stuff.
Yeah. It's like numbers, I see 7s and 3s all the time. I have these stupid little digital clocks, one in the kitchen and one in the living room, and I don't care. I look and it's 7s and 3s. My husband sees 4s and 1s all the. He'll call me. I just 4, 4, 4, 1, 1, 1, 4. He's all excited. And it's like,
cool.
So it's like, it is. It's like we're getting all these subtle messages, and we have to do our part into discerning what they are and what they mean and who they're coming from, and so yeah, it's just knowing ourselves. It's becoming less complacent, and I think the less complacent we become and the more we know ourselves, that discernment becomes easier. That discernment is like a split second. Whether somebody's telling the truth or not, or whether somebody's full of shit or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's like watching YouTube. Somebody will have somebody come on and I'll turn it on and like they'll talk for 2 minutes and I'll just get this, no,
yeah.
And I turn it off.
Right, it creates an uneasy feeling. That's a good way to tell, right? Your intuition speaks to you through your emotions and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So,
right.
So yeah, very interesting. Oh yeah, and then I wanted to bring up more feeding frenzy before we forget.
Okay.
Erotica, sex. I mean, when they talk about the Ankh, it was the Egyptians. The Egyptians were really good at controlling the sex, or the release of the release of the energy during sex. It was like the microcosmic orbit, the energy that we keep circling in within ourselves, and we don't let it out. And the Ankh was the same way. During sex, they were able to channel that energy right back into their kundalini. And that's why it was shaped the way it was. And so many people, they're out there and, they're partying and whatever, and all they want to do is get laid. And if they knew what was on their backs when they were doing this mindless, I don't want to say animal sex, because animals only have sex to procreate and that's it. But when they're out there just, they're being fed off of, and erotica. I mean, some of this erotica, me being an author, I have to read some of these other authors' books. And when I'm reading it, I just get this just sick feeling, and so, we really have to be responsible about where our energy is going when we're having sex. Now, if you're having sex with someone who you deeply love, you can control that. But, I don't know about this sexual revolution stuff.
Yeah, right. That's happenstance with your energy.
Yeah.
They're sharing, because you take on their energy too.
Yep.
So it's something to be aware of, if they're whatever they're carrying around, you've opened yourself up to that too.
Yeah.
And so it's a sacred act, and I think it's of benefit to look at it that way too.
Well, and that's why, they say that the last chance we had to evolve or go through what we're going through now was the hippie movement. And, but the problem with them was that was the free sex and drugs. And they, and that's why it did not work. They had the right idea of being free and living free in the natural realms, but they got off track with the free sex and the drugs. Mm-hmm. I mean, as soon as they were high on heroin, they attach, and they're like, oh yeah, oh wow, man, woo, and they just totally, I mean, look at all the late greats that we lost. Jim Morrison, I mean.
Yeah, it's so true. That's why they call it spirits. Alcohol is called spirits. Yes. That's where that comes from, is because it opens you up to spirit attachment when you get drunk. And the drunker you get, those that we were talking about, those entities hanging around horror flick movie theaters and stuff, possibly, I'm sure they do. The same thing with barrooms and saloons, especially late at night. You're all drunk and stuff. Those guys are in there having a hoot of a time right on your expense. So that's where spirit comes from, because they love spirit attachment. That's
right. Yeah, that spirit is taking me over.
Right.
I'll tell you, when I was young, once I got out of high school, it was a free-for-all for me. Let me tell you. I mean, I was a wild, this half gypsy girl here, she went crazy. I mean, yeah. And, the drunker I got, the more I changed. I wasn't me anymore. I was something else. I was overtaken. And I mean, I would get into fights. Mm-hmm. And I used to be it was so funny because I was a really shy person growing up. My mom and my stepdad my stepdad was terrible. And, and I used to get bullied when, beat up on the way to school because, I was just like, ooh, poor me, and well, I tell you, got out of high school, it was like, look out. You looking at me?
Talking to me.
Yeah.
You're talking to me.
I don't like the way you look.
Oh, that's funny. I wanted to see some footage. Too bad there weren't iPhones back then. We would have some.
I know. Video. God, that's what I said. Thank God we didn't have those back then. Oh my gosh. Yes. But,
great story.
But and that's it's, I don't know what causes a person to wake up and become out of that. Is it the alignment of the planets according to your date and time that you were born? Okay. Denise was born June 1st. Now the planets are in this alignment in 1980. She's going to start to waken up. That's another thing.
Yeah. I think there's several stimuli at play there. And one is pain. Pain has a benefit. How much pain is enough pain? Finally get enough pain, you're like, something's got to give here. There's got to be something else. And so you start seeking.
Yeah. Start
searching. And, so I think there's several different ways that can happen.
Well, and you also have to, pain can take you all the way down and take you out where you commit suicide and you're out of here, so, you have to decide either you're a flight or a fight. Pain and you're out of here, or pain and you're going to fight your way. There's got to be something different, because this sure as hell ain't working. Right. There was a point in time when I was on a drug called Effexor. And when I first went on this drug, it was like the first time you had marijuana, and I just thought, wow, this is great. Everybody, they should just put it in the water. everybody should be on this, you know? And that was the first couple weeks. But then after that, all it did was cause me to shut myself away from the family and just sit in the bedroom and just sit there and just be, it did the opposite of what it was supposed to do, you know? And so you know, why is it some people just, it's like different types of marijuana, how it affects people, you know? Some people, well, I know there's two types, but I mean, some people, they're crazy and they're wired and they have it and calms them down. And then there's other ones that just makes them crazier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it could be because, like you said, it's that, all that outside interference.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yeah. Because marijuana opens up the same way as drinking would.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, you know, that's what I sense.
Yeah.
You know,
it
from
does.
firsthand experience for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's, you know, you know, and then I've had arguments with people who are enlightened about this. Oh, marijuana, you know, marijuana makes me more aware and da 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 da. And I'm like, okay, but if you were so aware, you wouldn't need to use it to make yourself aware.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think of that.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just opening you up to all that. You just open.
Constant use. I mean, you know, it can give you a different perspective and see things from a different angle, which is cool. But if you're using it all the time, then that's out the window.
Right.
You know, it's like you take a toke and then go, you know, start seeing things different for a while.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But if, you know, smoking it all the time, then it's not doing that anymore.
Right.
It's actually closing you off, just like you described with affects her.
Yeah.
It affects her. That was an interesting name.
No,
buddy.
you know, and I think too, you know, when the shaman used ayahuasca and marijuana and whatever, barrel cactus and all of those hallucinogenic drugs, we have to remember they were already in ceremony. They had already done the protection around them. So there was nothing, you know. So, you know, if you're a witch and you're going to do this, well, you better open up a circle around you and bring in the elements, 4 directions to keep you protected, put your couple dragons out there. So, you know, that what you're getting is really from your higher self and not that outside programming. You know, and I think that's where people who are just habitual users who are just, you know, I was with a realtor one day and, oh my gosh, I get in the car, first thing she does is get high. And I mean, she's like this to begin with. And, you know, like every half an hour she was getting high. And I was just like, I had my nails in the dashboard. I thought, holy crap, we're dead. we are dead, you know? And so, you know, she couldn't get up in the morning without it. And it's because she was attached. She had opened herself and she had allowed all of that in. Yeah. You know? And
then there's physical symptoms and physical manifestations too, to addiction. You know, it's all combined within the technology. But, you know, so it kind of feeds off each other. It's like a perpetual energy machine then at that point, you know. The body reacts to the mind that's reacting to the outer influences, and, you know.
Yeah.
And so, it just like the snowball rolling downhill, you know, it just gets bigger and bigger and feeds off each other.
Yeah. Yeah. So use in moderation and better be sure you are protected.
Yeah. Well, that's why, you know, with ayahuasca, that's what you want it to be with an experienced, an authentic shaman.
Yep.
or equivalent.
Yes.
And it's not something you do every day. You don't come home after school every day and pop, it's something you do sacred, maybe a couple times in your life, maybe just once, because it's taken you and showing you a lot, and there's a lot of benefit there, but, so it's not to be abused.
Yep.
And treated recklessly. And pot would be the same thing, really. Alcohol, is even less. Alcohol is even different, but we'll save that for next time, huh, Denise? Yeah. The effects of alcohol on the DNA skin suit. Tune in next week.
Yeah.
By Denise Carew. You can find Denise Carew on Amazon. Paranormal fiction award-winning author of the Dragon Horse series and other books. What are you working on now?
Oh, I just finished a children's fable called Seraphina.
Right.
And I actually entered that one in a contest, Reader's Favorite Contest. And so we'll see how that goes. It was like, another one of those inspirational stories. Everything I write is to inspire. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, nice. I'm trying to finish the third book to my Dragon Horse series, so I can get going on my Avian Book of Secrets series. So
nice.
Yeah.
And so it's Denise Carew on YouTube. That's your channel, right? Garrou.
Yep.
And of course on Amazon, and you just Google search Denise Carew or Dragon Horse. That'll turn it up for you.
Yeah.
And I'm Zakalu.
Mr. Music Man.
Zakalu.
We need to open up with one of your songs.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was thinking about doing that, right. A little screen share. We'll dance around I'll have a dance.
There you go.
Party, right, dance. Creates joy.
Yeah.
So anyway, appreciate it, Denise. Thank you so much.